Alright, so how to play Echo. Let's start off with just the general stuff in her wiki. I'll start with the abilities. So her glide, what does this let you do? This lets you stay in the air, obviously, for like a long time, but the bigger part of that, like that impacts your gameplay, is going to be letting you take advantage of a lot of like map architecture that you don't get from like a ground-based hero. So you can play around a lot more with like windows around points, high ground like archways, utilizing those kind of like high ground areas where it's like tough for the enemy to see you. Kind of using like that third dimension of cover, um, to where you can get damage off where it's hard for the enemy to like counter that and hard for them to get to you. That's like the idea behind that's like the main idea, I guess, behind Echo. It's like you want to be doing damage without taking the attention of the enemy team. Because as soon as the enemy team is like looking at you, you're kind of fucked. If you don't have your abilities, which I'll talk about, like using your shift. If you don't have your abilities, you're gonna get bursted like pretty quickly by any kind of hit scan. So you have to make sure that you are utilizing whatever architecture you can, and also like understanding the enemy team comp is really important with this. Like if they have a hit scan, like a Widow, an Ashe, whatever, you want to make sure that you're like able to stay behind cover while also able to get damage off. And this comes with like a lot of map practice, a lot of understanding maps. You want to be always looking for like places that you can utilize, and I'll talk about this more probably when we're in like looking at your actual VOD. But places where you can be safely at like a medium distance from the enemy, getting your damage off. So her glide, pretty good. Nice ability. Next, the primary fire. So the primary fire has no. Does it have fall off actually? No, it doesn't have any fall off, and it shoots pretty quickly, so you can kind of just spam this. Um, with 15 like bullets, in your like clip or whatever. You can be like this is gonna be your main like spamming ability while you're kind of waiting for an engage from your tanks. This is where you want to be like kind of at a distance because again there's no fall off. You want to be shooting, getting as much like poke off as you can, just building up your ultimate. Um, it really sucks at close range, which is why again, I'm going to talk about this more again when I get to your shift ability. You never really want to be at close range or like at too close range with her because you're not going to be able to land your abilities. It's really hard because of how high movement speed is in Overwatch. You're never really going to be able to land your shots, either this or your sticky bombs, with this hero. Sticky bombs are pretty self-explanatory. You really want to lead these, like predicting enemy movement, leading this as much as possible. I don't know what it's similar to, 15 meters per second. Let me look. Might be similar. I feel like Maze is probably like 75 or something. Okay, yeah, so it's a lot faster than Maze. Um, or Maze is a lot faster, I mean. Let's see.
Maine has some of the best crowd control in Overwatch and is a menacing force on the battlefield.
What the fuck?
I'm going to tell you everything you need to know to dominate with Mei and deal with the threats that come your way.
Okay. I don't know where that was coming from. But whatever. I don't know. It's a pretty slow projectile, basically. You get the idea. Um, so you really have to lead your targets. Like even if your target is like a slow tank, like a Rhine with his shield up, or an Orisa or something, um, you still have to lead it quite a bit. And this is generally what you want to be using to chunk out tanks. Um, trying to get your sticky bomb onto like an Orisa or a Reinhardt behind their shield using your shift. Really good kind of in and out combo that you can use. So yeah, it just takes practice, I think. Next, the shift ability. So this is the really like this is what will separate you from like being dog shit at this hero to like actually knowing what you're doing. So Echo, as I said before, is super super vulnerable. She doesn't really have any way to survive anything. She has no like get out of jail free cards like a lot of characters have. Like your Reaper, your Mei, your Tracer, your Sombra even. All of these have like really easy get out of jail free cards. But with Echo, you have to really know your shift cooldown against 6 seconds, and know how you're going to use it. So you want to be looking to play on flanks, kind of like harassing the enemy whenever you can, and then so there's like kind of phases, right? The first phase is kind of like in the neutral game where you're waiting, um, you're poking, you're in the air far enough away, as long as they don't have like Widow or something like that that can just like shoot you from wherever. You're far away, like in the air, just doing your poke, and you might be just getting like little bits of damage off. If they have like a Widow or Echo and like you're in the neutral, then you're gonna be using again map architecture to get like around. So getting pathing around the map so that you can avoid Widow sight lines and get into a position where you can actually get your damage off. Now you like say you're in position and you're like able to get your damage off. Whenever the enemy team starts to look at you, you just like instantly have to get the fuck out. So your shift has to be ready for when that happens. You have to be ready to just instantly shift backwards or shift wherever to where you can get to safety, and be ready to just kite back, keeping the enemies at like a medium to long range distance from you, so that they're never really able to pin you down. Because if you get pinned down, like obviously you're dead. And I'll see more with how you play, to see how we can improve that. Focusing beam, I think this one's pretty easy. You want to be following what your team calls. Um, you want to be following what your team calls. Hopefully, we'll be calling, all right, monkey low, whatever. We're pretty good about that. So we just throw your beam onto whatever, like using your shift. Like your shift E is like a really strong mid-fight kind of combo, where you just shift into a target, E them, and they just instantly die. A good way to finish off a target that you hear is low. So using your shift to just like get across the map in fights, really what you want to be looking for. Kind of like she's called Tracer of the Sky, or like Sky Tracer for a reason, because she can just like get across the map, finish kills really easily. Duplicate, this is probably, I guess, the harder part of her kit. In general, so playing with Duplicate, you can either use it as a way to like go in really aggressively, like go in for like an assassination onto a squishy in the back line, and then Q like a hero with movement ability or with like a lot of HP, like a tank, and then you leave with your now full HP bar. Or it's like as an initiation type of thing, where you kind of shift in, and then you're looking for a tank or something that you can duplicate, and then follow up with whatever the rest of your team is doing. So really, I think duplicating tanks is a lot better. But if you know you don't really have options, duplicating anybody if you're in like a really tough situation and you don't really have many escape options, just queuing anybody is worth it. So yeah, that's kind of ability overview. Let's go to your bots. Okay.
Traveling to Dorado. Ready for battle.
Okay. So we got Optim on the Echo.
Ready for battle.
Oh, so all right, you got a Mercy Pocket with you. That's pretty dope. So here, let's see. You can be playing like up here, honestly. So if you play like right here, you don't really know what they're gonna roll out with, but if you like play over on this red house, you can just get some poke off really quickly, and then from here you can easily shift backwards back into your team and survive. And you also have like a mercy pocket, so unless you get like instantly dinked, you're not gonna get burst out. So you can just be like a little bit more aggressive with this positioning because your sight lines aren't really good here. Let's see what can you see? Really nothing. And see if you were playing like up here, you could be like jiggle peeking this Hanzo, just like baiting him a little bit, you know, looking at him, looking away. He would have to like commit to wall climbing and fighting you, I think, just for him to have a chance at like killing you. And then if he like does that, I think you just shift back. So I think this is okay. You know, you no longer have the opportunity to really move up, and this is a pretty decent spot to fight behind your team. Trying to get your team to fall back. It's okay, right here. You want to know that this Hanzo is here, right? So what you can be doing is like shifting up and like playing up in this area. So you can see how like if you stand right here, the Hanzo doesn't get any sightlines of you. You see, like if you're looking from this way, the Hanzo really can't see you up this way, right? So you can be playing like around this architecture and just like spamming at their tanks pretty easily. Or you could even opt to fight the Hanzo if you want. I think that's probably a bit worse. But I think if you just like standing up here and just like shooting down your sticky bomb, like harassing this Rhine, especially like this Rhine's pretty out of position. Like you should be getting punished. But you just being like on the ground here, this is not a time that I think you should be on the ground as Pharah or as Echo. Alright, so that was pretty good. A risky shift up there, I would say, because you didn't really have cover. The Hanzo could have headshot you. So really, you want to be focused on denying sight lines for their long-range hit scan as much as you can. Yeah, like playing this angle, this is pretty good, because it's like weird for them to like look up at you when they're coming down from the car here, and like the Hanzo has to come through bridge, which I think he's gonna, or they have a. Oh, that's you guys, never mind. I don't know why your tanks aren't fighting. I guess your Rhine just came back. So right here, this is extremely aggressive. This is like you're gonna die territory. Um, like fucking 2 swings of Rhinehammer and you're pretty much instantly dead. Like I get you want to like get the execute on the Rhine, but like this is extremely risky. You're going extremely close range, and you want to be avoiding this kind of close range fighting style whenever you can with Echo. You can get away with it now, yeah, but if there's like a focused team that like sees you doing that, like shifting in like a fucking maniac. Oh, you die. Wait, let's go back and watch that. So yeah, this is about the range that you want to be playing at. And like this Ryan got bubbled. Like they spent that resource to keep him alive. It's not worth trading your life for the attempt at the Ryan. You do get him, but this is also very like this is kind of poor pathing because you're gonna walk through this window or this archway and you have no cover. So you can go through like this archway. You have a lot more cover, right? And you can just do kind of the same thing. But here, you're gonna get killed by the Honto. Yeah.
Taking off.
Heroes never die.
So again, you're kind of dropping in like really aggressively. I think probably this is just you not using like your shift optimally yet. Like you can be like sticking up in the air for like a lot longer, using like this to jump off of, using like the green thing over here to just be sitting on this until you have your shift cooldown, then returning to the air and like again getting your damage off. So oh, you died. Let's run it back.
Regeneration complete. Switching back to combat mode.
Heroes never die.
So you probably died because you went that aggressively, would be my assumption, and then you just get burst by the Zarya. So yeah, right here, this is like moments before death, right? You have no shift, you have no like your shift's on 3 seconds cooldown. This Zarya is pretty high charged. You're gonna be solo grabs you, I guess, but like he could have just killed you. Maybe you were looking for an ulti. I can't, like, obviously I can't read your mind. But if you get an ulti, that's maybe okay. I think if you're able to duplicate the Zarya, you have a chance of getting out there. But pretty suboptimal play, if you ask me.
The payload has reached the checkpoint.
Lifting off.
Okay, so second point, let's talk about architecture on this point. This high ground, really good. You can be playing kind of this flank if you want. This is maybe a riskier flank because you're really far from your team. I think this high ground really is about where you want to be playing. Using like these archway or these pillars and arches. Even playing like up here, like if you can like shift around this roof, you get like really